All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And in my last installation of previews for the upcoming college football season, I want to take this time out right now to give you my projections for the upcoming college football playoff. Of course, we know that the college football playoff is going from 4 teams to 12 teams for the upcoming season. It's going to be like that for the next couple of years before it expands once again to 16 teams. So pardon me, to 14 teams rather, excuse me. It's probably only going to be a matter of time before we get to 16 anyway. But nonetheless, what do we know for the upcoming season? So you got 12 bids. You have the five highest ranked conference champions. You're going to have the highest ranked conference champion from the group of five, and you are going to have some at large bids. So, of course, the four highest ranked conference champions, they are going to get automatic buys for round number one. Seeds 5 through 12, they're going to play each other in on campus games or at the home of the higher seed. Then the action is going to shift to the bowl games for the quarterfinals and semifinals. And then, of course, the national championship game, which this year will take place in the great city of Atlanta. So, without any further ado, I'm going to give you my rundown for who I feel will get to the college football playoff and where they will be ranked. So, number one, I'm going to go with Georgia because I do have the Bulldogs winning the SEC. Uh, for my money, Georgia has become one of, if not the premier program in college football. And I think they are going to once again flex their muscles throughout the season and do enough to be the top dog, no pun intended, entering this tournament. Number two, I'm going to go with Ohio State. I've picked the Buckeyes to win the Big Ten. And at the end of the day, when you win the Big Ten, especially now this expanded Big Ten, you are really going to be saying something, especially since there's no more divisional formats either. Number three, I'm going to go Florida State. And of course, last year, the Seminoles went undefeated during the regular season, and they were on the outside looking in for the college football playoff. And of course, a lot of that had to do, unfortunately, with the late season injury to quarterback Jordan Travis. But nonetheless, Mike Norvell, to his credit, has really gotten the Seminoles program back on track. And I think Florida State will win the Atlantic Coast Conference this year. And my fourth seed, and this is going to be the last first round bye, I'm going to give it to Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State has what it takes to win the Big 12, uh, especially, if running back Ali Gordon is healthy. Mike Gundy has done a quality job with his program, and I think the Cowboys will get that last first round bye. Seeds 5 through 12. I'm going to give the fifth seed to Texas. Okay, I think the Longhorns will do enough in their first season in the SEC to garner a college football playoff bid. Of course, we saw Texas get to the 14 college football playoff last year, where they were knocked off in the Sugar Bowl, courtesy of Washington. At number six, I'm going to go Notre Dame, and it's one of those we know that Notre Dame can't have a top four seed in this tournament because they are an independent. But nonetheless, Marcus Freeman has put together two quality seasons at Notre Dame, and I think his Fighting Irish will find their way here in 2024 to get into the expanded college football playoff. Number seven, I'm going to go Penn State here. For so long, we've seen James Franklin lead Penn State to one Big Ten title, but the biggest thing that has hurt the Nittany Lions on James Franklin's watch is the fact that, for the most part, his team has come up short playing against both Michigan and Ohio State in that Big Ten East. Of course, no more divisional format this year in the Big Ten like it is for all of these power conferences. On top of that, this expanded playoff should help Penn State because we've consistently seen Penn State go 10-2, get to New Year's Six bowl games, but not get to the college football playoff. And I think this is the year that we'll finally see the Nittany Lions on that playoff stage. At number 8, I'm going to go Oregon. I know that some people are picking the Ducks to win the Big Ten this year. I think Oregon is going to be right in that mix. Dan Lanning has done a tremendous job in a quick period of time with his program out in Eugene, and I think the Ducks will be on this national stage. At number 9, I'm going to go North Carolina. This for me is one of my sleepers right here. It's one of those. Mac Brown, to me, I think, has forgotten more about coaching than most people will ever know in their life. Okay. It's one of those things. He's done it with his quarterbacks. His defenses have not been as good yet so far in his return to North Carolina. But I think uh, parting with Gene Chizik as the defensive coordinator, bringing in former Georgia Tech head coach Jeff Collins should help the defense. And also, you get yourself a veteran quarterback in the transfer portal, courtesy of Max Johnson. So I think North Carolina could be a sleeper in the playoff race. At number 10, I'm going to go Ole Miss in the lane train here. I know that they lost Quinshawn Judkins, the phenomenal running back to Ohio State, but all Lane Kiffin has done has win games since he has been at Ole Miss, and he's consistently had a top 20 program. And I think the Rebels will do enough to be a part of the playoff proceedings this year. At number 11, I'm sticking in the SEC, and I'm going to go with Louisiana State. And for Brian Kelly and LSU, they've been right there. LSU is an elite program, and I think this is going to be an opportunity for them to try to go out there and flex their muscles on the big stage. Of course, LSU as a program, is no stranger to the college football playoff. And finally, at number 12, I'm going to go with Boise State. I got the Broncos winning the Mountain West, and I think this could be one of those years. I'm not going to go out there and say Boise's going to pull off some upsets, but Boise's definitely going to be a team that not a lot of people are going to be lining up wanting to face. So when it's all said and done, the first round of on-campus matchups, I have Boise traveling to Texas. I have a reunion of sorts in South Bend as I have LSU traveling to take on Notre Dame. And of course, we know what Brian Kelly meant to that Fighting Irish program for so long. I have Ole Miss traveling to take on Penn State, and I have North Carolina making the trek west to take on Oregon. Then in the quarterfinals, okay, this is where the bowl games kick in at the neutral sites. Fiesta Bowl, I've got Texas taking on Oklahoma State. Of course, these two were Big 12 rivals for so many years. And just before I keep going down this list, it's one of those where I think we're going to see rematches as well as trilogies in this college football playoff because again, committees basically said, you know what, conference affiliation doesn't matter. You can see teams from the same conference meet first round, second round, wherever. And at some point, teams from one conference, they're going to be bumping each other off. So with that said, I got Texas and Oklahoma State meeting in the Fiesta Bowl. I got Georgia and Oregon facing off in the Peach Bowl. Rose Bowl is going to be a battle of two Big Ten teams to me making the trek west, and Penn State and Ohio State. That would be a rematch from the regular season if they do meet. And then in the Sugar Bowl, I've got Notre Dame taking on Florida State. Now, moving ahead to the semis, I'm going to go Texas and Georgia in the Orange Bowl. And if that were to happen, that could potentially be the third time that Texas and Georgia would face each other this season. They definitely play each other during the regular season. I think both of these teams are good enough to get to the SEC championship game, and both of these teams are clearly good enough to make the college football playoff. And then in the other semi, at the Cotton Bowl in Arlington, I got Notre Dame getting it on with Ohio State. And then, of course, for the national championship, two teams that faced each other several years ago in the college football semis at the same stadium. I've got Ohio State facing Georgia. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to pick the Bulldogs to go out there and win their third national championship in the last 4 years. So that's how I see it. Those are my projections for the college football playoff for the upcoming season. Please feel free to comment. I'm sure we're all not going to agree 1 through 12 as far as the seeding. I'm sure that we're all not going to fully agree as far as which teams are in the field. Please feel free to drop comments as far as how you see the college football playoff breaking down for the upcoming season, and we will definitely see how things play out. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And as this wraps up, my college football previews rather for the upcoming season. Now it is time to flip the page and move on to the National Football League. And yes, beginning tomorrow, I will be giving you a division by division breakdown of how I see things playing out for the upcoming NFL season. And we're going to get things kick started with the AFC North. But folks, once again, I take this time out to thank all of you for tuning in. Really appreciate the support and all the comments. Really had fun talking about the upcoming college football season. Really appreciate all of the comments and support that I have received from people throughout this. And like I said, keep checking it out because now we are on to the National Football League. And once again, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.